it doesn't matter if it's sharp or flat. Who cares?
Exactly.
It's one or the other. So there's always a spot where it's going to be bang on in tune with whatever it's supposed to be in tune with. It's not like you have to know. You just have to know if you like it more or less than you did a second. And you
Right.
like it more, okay, then go a little further.
Hello, everybody. Today, I want to share with you an excerpt from a 1 hour long interview that I did with MacIsaac as part of our all new bagpipe tuning algorithm suite that we recently released at Dojo University. Head over to pipersdojo.com/tuning to learn all about how you can get all of these long interviews in addition to all of the great courses to figure out how you can get that now. And if you order before October 22nd, you can get $80 off. Okay. Now on to the fun stuff. So I was able to sit down with MacIsaac, who is gotta be one of the most phenomenal bagpipers ever, in my humble opinion. And we talked about tuning for quite a long time. And the excerpt I want to share with you today is sort of focused on trial and error and how really that is the secret ingredient that makes great bagpipe tuning. So without further ado, here's MacIsaac. And what did the process of learning to tune look like for you?
I tell people this a lot, especially the boys when I'm talking about tuning, what I was trying to do when I was younger. I don't remember anyone showing me explicitly, you do this, and then you do that, and then you do this, and do that, and do this and that. And I think, like I was saying, listening to so many different records and different artists and different bands and pipers, musicians, and some of those tracks jumping out at me. And I remember listening to one in particular. It was Ozhin, and it was Ian MacDonald playing. It was the Dub Across the Water album, which I just about wore out. I still do. I still listen to it. It's a beautiful piece of work. But there was a song called Will You Go to Flanders? And in the middle of the song, I don't know if you ever heard it, but he comes in and plays like a slow air version of Lord Love Is Lament. But I just remember the sound of his pipes with like they had an upright bass, a bowed bass, and a violin and guitar and harp and all sorts of stuff going. And it just sounded so rich and so true and so bang on. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to sound like. I want my pipe to sound like that. And I don't know if it was that particular moment that kind of burned in my brain what a good C should sound like, but I remember that note jumping out. I remember F's and E's and the low A and the drones. And it was beautiful. And so from then on, I was just always trial and erroring it. My whole life is trial and error. I'm constantly just like trying things until it works.
Yeah.
And not thinking so much about the error part of it.
So we talk about this a lot in the tuning course, almost exclusively, because I think you're laughing about it, but it's bang on, isn't it? Trial and error is really the name of the game. And I would think that I'm always less concerned if my C is sharp or flat. And it's more just about, okay, if I try sharpening it and it helps, then that gives me the answer I need. And you don't really have to be concerned with quote unquote, like knowing the answer to these things.
Yeah, I tell people that a lot too, that it doesn't matter if it's sharp or flat. Who cares?
Exactly.
It's one or the other. So there's always a spot where it's going to be bang on in tune with whatever it's supposed to be in tune with. It's not like you have to know. You just have to know if you like it more or less than you did a second.
Right.
And you like it more, okay, then go a little further. And if that's as good as it gets, and you go too far and you back up again, that's the little trials and errors that we're talking about. But whether or not you like the sound is the main, right?
Right. All right. So when you yourself were learning, or when you maybe nowadays, when you teach a student, how do you start the process of teaching someone to tune? Do you start with maybe just throwing something out there? Do you start with tuning a couple of drones together, or what's the strategy?
Yeah, that's what I do. I get them to just practice tuning their tenors together and listening to the beats, listening to the waves or beats or whatever you want to call them. And being honest with yourself, like you're listening to it, and they can all hear it. They say some kids will say, as I'm sure not just kids, but students, but they'll say, oh, I don't hear it. But when you do it for them, they're like, oh, yeah, I hear that.
Right.
And as soon as their hands on it, then they just start like doing this, right? And they're not really listening to what's going on. They're thinking more about what they're doing than what they're listening to. So the two tenor drones, I think, is the easiest to tune together, right? Obviously, it's the same pitch, same timbre, same everything, and get used to slowing those waves down till they disappear. I always tell them, like, do it until you don't hear two drones anymore. If you only hear one drone, then you're in the right spot.
If you're interested in hearing the complete 1 hour interview, you can do so as part of the all new Piper's Dojo tuning suite, just released here at the dojo here recently. The tuning suite contains detailed theoretical, practical courses. It contains a 90-day tuning plan. It contains a distillation of basically everything you could ever dream of needing to know about tuning, including transcripts from the interviews here in this textbook. It includes a how to tune your pipe band course, and it includes a robust triple your money back guarantee. Basically, our promise to you that within 90 days of doing our training program and soaking in the course, you'll be a great tuner. So I'd be honored if you went to check that out at pipersdojo.com/tuning now. And if you purchase before October 22nd, you can receive $80 off and a couple of other great bonuses as well. So head over to pipersdojo.com/tuning today. Meanwhile, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.